The massive alien ship appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like a wounded giant. Its sleek hull, typically gleaming with the characteristic blue glow of quantum drives, now pulsed with an uneven, sickly light. The vessel was easily 3 times the size of the largest human spacecraft ever built, and its design spoke of technology far beyond Earth's current capabilities. Tom Wilson stood at the main viewport of Repair Station Alpha, watching as the enormous ship slowly approached. His weathered face reflected both concern and curiosity. 20 years of fixing everything from simple shuttles to complex alien vessels had taught him that size wasn't always the biggest challenge. It was the unexpected problems that made his job interesting. "Sir, the alien vessel is requesting emergency docking clearance," announced Mike, the young station controller. "They're saying their quantum drive is critically damaged." Tom nodded, running a hand through his gray hair. "Give them permission to dock at Bay 12. It's the only one big enough for a ship that size." The alien ship's approach was painfully slow. Through the viewport, Tom could see the quantum drive housing at the rear of the vessel. Even from this distance, the damage was obvious. A spider web of cracks ran through the crystalline structure that contained the drive's core. "That's a Class A Stellar Confederation vessel," said Jack Murphy, walking up beside Tom. The old mechanic whistled low. "Never thought I'd see one of those up close. They usually avoid human repair stations like the plague." "Times must be desperate if they're coming to us," Tom replied, watching as the massive ship carefully maneuvered into the docking bay. The station's gravity generators strained to compensate for the vessel's mass. As the docking clamps engaged, Tom led his team to the airlock. They were an odd-looking bunch, Jack with his oil-stained coveralls, Riley wearing her lucky red bandana, Pat carrying their ever-present tablet of material analysis tools, and Marcus with his custom toolbox full of modified Earth equipment. The airlock cycled, and 3 tall, silvery figures stepped through. Their environmental suits were sleek and clearly expensive, marking them as high-ranking members of the Stellar Confederation. The leader removed their helmet, revealing metallic scales that caught the light. "I am First Engineer Brightstar," the alien announced in slightly accented English. "We have visited 7 repair stations operated by various advanced species. None could repair our quantum drive. We are reluctant to seek help from a less developed civilization, but we have no choice." Tom noticed the slight pause, the careful choice of words. Less developed was a polite way of saying primitive. He'd heard it before. "Welcome to Repair Station Alpha," Tom said professionally. "I'm Chief Engineer Wilson. Would you mind if we take a look at the damage?" Brightstar's expression was hard to read, but their tone carried clear doubt. "Our quantum drive technology is far beyond your current technological level. Perhaps we should simply show you the diagnostic data." "Actually," Tom interrupted politely, "we'd prefer to look at things with our own eyes first. Data's useful, but sometimes it doesn't tell the whole story." The alien engineer seemed surprised by this response. Their silver scales shifted in what might have been discomfort. "That is an unusual approach. Most repair stations begin with a complete diagnostic analysis." "We're not most repair stations," Jack said with a slight grin. "We like to get our hands dirty first." The alien team followed Tom's crew to the damaged quantum drive, their movements becoming increasingly agitated as the humans began a basic visual inspection. When Riley pulled out a simple magnetic resonance scanner, practically ancient technology by Confederation standards, Brightstar actually stepped forward in alarm. "That primitive device cannot possibly." The scanner's display lit up, showing a clear image of the crack patterns within the quantum crystal structure. Tom studied it thoughtfully while the alien stared in obvious confusion. "Well," Tom said finally, "I can see why the other stations couldn't fix this. They'd probably try to repair it according to standard procedures." He pointed to a specific pattern in the cracks. "But look here, this isn't just standard quantum crystal fatigue. Something else caused this damage. Any station following the usual repair protocols would miss that completely." Bright Star leaned forward, their doubt temporarily forgotten. You can determine this with such simple equipment. Tom smiled. Sometimes the simple ways work best. Now, would you like to hear how we're going to fix your ship? The aliens exchanged glances, their earlier skepticism beginning to fade. Maybe, just maybe, these primitive humans knew something the more advanced species had forgotten. 10 years earlier, the first alien ship had arrived at Earth's orbital repair stations completely by accident. It had been a small trading vessel, its engines sputtering and failing, piloted by a desperate crew who had no choice but to trust the newly spacefaring humans for help. Tom Wilson remembered that day clearly as he walked through the current repair bay, examining the massive Confederation ship. That first alien vessel had taught humanity an important lesson about their place in the galaxy. You know, Tom said to Bright Star, who followed close behind, we learned more from that first broken alien ship than we did from 100 successful first contact meetings. The alien engineer's scales shifted with curiosity. Please explain. Tom stopped at his workbench and picked up an old Earth wrench, modified with bits of alien technology. The ship's captain thought we couldn't help them. Their plasma converter had failed, technology we hadn't even invented yet. But we had something better. Centuries of fixing things with whatever we had on hand. In the background, Jack and Riley were already setting up their equipment around the damaged quantum drive. Their tools were a strange mix of human and alien technology, modified in ways that would make most advanced species uncomfortable. The funny thing about advanced technology, Tom continued, is that people forget the basics. That first alien crew had never seen anyone repair a plasma converter before. They always replaced them. But humans, we've been fixing broken machines since we invented the wheel. Bright Star watched as Pat ran their modified scanner over the quantum crystal again. But surely replacing parts is more efficient. Tom smiled. Sometimes. But what do you do when you're far from home and have no spare parts? That's something humans had to deal with for most of our history. Cars breaking down in the desert. Ships losing power in the middle of the ocean. Planes having to land in remote areas. He walked over to a storage unit and pulled out what looked like mining equipment, heavily modified. We learned to adapt, to improvise, to fix things that weren't supposed to be fixable. The memory of that first alien repair was still vivid. The alien crew had watched in horror as Tom's team took apart their precious plasma converter, using Earth-made tools modified on the spot to handle the alien technology. They had gasped when the humans used parts from an old satellite dish to rebuild the converter's waveguide. Your species takes great risks with valuable equipment, Bright Star observed, watching as Marcus began setting up the modified mining laser. We take calculated risks, Tom corrected. Every successful repair teaches us something new. We add that knowledge to what we already know. That first alien ship, we fixed it using parts from 3 different species' technologies, plus some Earth equipment from 100 years ago. The story had spread quickly through the nearby sectors of space, a primitive species that could actually repair technology they hadn't even invented yet. At first, most advanced species had dismissed it as luck or exaggeration. But then more ships had come. A damaged fuel processor that the humans fixed using modified Earth cooling systems. A broken navigation computer repaired with a combination of human and alien circuits. Each success brought more ships, and with them, more opportunities to learn and adapt. The thing about humans, Tom said, turning back to the quantum drive, is that we never learn that some things are supposed to be impossible to fix. We just keep trying until we find a way that works. He pointed to the cracked crystal structure. Your quantum drive. The other repair stations couldn't fix it because they only know the proper way to do things, but sometimes you need an improper solution. Bright Star's scales flickered with what might have been concern. And you believe you can provide such a solution? Tom grinned. We're going to repair your quantum crystal using modified Earth mining equipment, some salvaged alien tech, and a few tricks we learned fixing submarines back on Earth. It's not the proper way to do it, but it will work. The alien engineer stared at him for a long moment. How can you be so certain? Because that's another thing about humans, Tom said, picking up his tools. We're too stubborn to let a broken machine beat us. Now let's show you how we do things on a human repair station. Around them, his team was already setting up their equipment, ready to prove once again why more and more alien ships were choosing to trust human ingenuity over advanced technology. The quantum drive chamber hummed with an unsteady rhythm as Tom and his team gathered around the damaged crystal core. The cracks in the crystal structure cast strange shadows under their work lights, creating patterns that seemed to shift and move. Well, this is definitely different, Marcus said, studying the readouts from their modified scanners. The crystal's not just cracked. It's trying to repair itself, but something's blocking the process. Tom nodded, watching as Pat pressed their handheld analyzer against the crystal surface. The device was cobbled together from 6 different species technologies, held together with Earth-made components that would make most alien engineers cringe. The standard repair procedure isn't working because they're fighting against the crystal's natural properties, Tom explained to Bright Star, who stood nervously nearby. Every other repair station tried to force the crystal back into shape. That's why it kept getting worse. The alien engineer's scales rippled with concern. The crystal matrix is worth more than this entire station. If you damage it further, we don't plan to touch the crystal directly, Tom interrupted, earning a surprised look from the alien. In fact, we're going to help it fix itself. Jack walked up with his ancient tablet computer, its screen displaying a complex mix of human and alien data. Found something interesting, boss. These crack patterns, they remind me of something we saw in the old Earth shipyards. Tom looked at the display, his eyes widening slightly. Metal fatigue in submarine hulls. You're right, Jack. The pressure patterns are almost identical. Bright Star moved closer, their doubt momentarily overcome by curiosity. You are comparing our quantum crystal to primitive metal vessels that operated underwater. Principles are principles, Riley said, adjusting her red bandana. Whether it's water pressure on a submarine or quantum stress on a crystal matrix, physics works the same way. Tom turned to his team. Here's what we're dealing with. The crystal wants to repair itself. That's what quantum matrices do. But the previous repair attempts have created a kind of pressure lock. The crystal can't move back into its natural shape because it's being held in place by its own quantum field. Like a submarine hull that's buckled but can't pop back because of water pressure, Jack added. Marcus was already moving toward their equipment, so we need to relieve the pressure gradually, give the crystal room to heal itself. Exactly, Tom said. Pat, get the modified mining laser ready. We're going to use it to create a controlled quantum field that counteracts the pressure. Riley, I need you to calibrate the field strength. Jack, monitor the crystal's response. Marcus, stand by with the stabilizers. The alien engineers watched with a mixture of horror and fascination as the humans set up their improvised equipment. The mining laser, never designed for such delicate work, had been modified with parts from at least 3 different alien technologies. This is completely against all standard procedures, Bright Star protested, but with less conviction than before. Standard procedures are what got the crystal stuck in the first place, Tom replied, checking the final connections. Sometimes you need to step back and look at the basic principles. What we're doing isn't that different from how doctors use to set broken bones. Create the right conditions, then let the body heal itself. The modified laser hummed to life, projecting a field that shimmered almost imperceptibly around the crystal. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, slowly, one of the smaller cracks began to close. It's working, Riley called out, her eyes fixed on the readings. The crystal's natural healing process is reactivating. Tom watched carefully as more cracks began to seal themselves. The quantum crystal glowed softly, its light growing steadier with each passing moment. The alien engineers had fallen completely silent, their scales shifting colors in what might have been amazement. The impossible, Bright Star whispered. achieved with mining equipment and submarine repair principles. Not impossible, Tom corrected, allowing himself a small smile. Just needed a different way of thinking about the problem. Sometimes the old, simple solutions work better than the advanced ones. Around them, the quantum drive's hum was growing stronger and more stable as the crystal continued to heal itself. It was another victory for human ingenuity. Another example of why more alien ships were choosing Earth's repair stations over their more advanced competitors. The repair bay buzzed with tension as the quantum crystal continued its self-healing process. Tom's team worked with practiced efficiency, each person knowing their role in this unprecedented repair attempt. The modified mining laser hummed steadily, maintaining the artificial quantum field that allowed the crystal to repair itself. Field strength at 60%. Riley called out, her fingers dancing over the control panel. Crystal response is stable. Jack studied his readings with intense focus. Getting some unusual energy patterns here, boss. The crystal's doing something we haven't seen before. Tom moved quickly to Jack's station, examining the readouts. The quantum crystal was indeed behaving differently from their predictions. Its inner structure was shifting in ways that made the alien engineers visibly nervous. Should we stop the process? Bright Star asked, their scales flickering rapidly with anxiety. No, Tom said firmly. The crystal's not just repairing itself, it's adapting. This is exactly what we wanted to happen. Marcus approached with new scanner readings. He's right. Look at this pattern here. The crystal's not just closing the cracks, it's restructuring itself to be stronger. The alien engineers crowded around the display, their previous skepticism forgotten in their fascination. The quantum crystal structure was indeed changing, becoming more resilient while maintaining its essential properties. Impossible, one of the alien engineers whispered. The crystal matrix is not designed to adapt. Maybe not designed to, Pat said, adjusting their scanner. But natural crystals on Earth do it all the time. They respond to stress by changing their structure. We just gave this one the chance to do what comes naturally. Tom watched as another section of the crystal began to heal, its pattern slightly different from before. That's always been humanity's strength. We don't just fix things, we let them grow stronger from being broken. The repair continued for several hours. The human team worked in shifts, maintaining the delicate balance of the quantum field while monitoring the crystal's transformation. They made constant small adjustments, responding to each change in the crystal's behavior with modifications to their equipment. Field strength dropping to 40%, Riley announced. Crystal is stabilizing in its new configuration. Tom nodded. Start reducing the field gradually. Let's give the crystal time to settle into its new form. The aliens watched in amazement as the quantum crystal's glow steadied, becoming stronger and more uniform than before. The cracks had not just sealed, they had been replaced by new crystalline patterns that actually reinforced the structure. The quantum efficiency readings, Bright Star said in disbelief, checking their own instruments. They're 12% higher than original specifications. Sometimes things work better after they've been broken and fixed, Jack said with a smile. Every break is a chance to come back stronger. As the repair team began powering down their equipment, other crew members from the alien ship had gathered to watch. Word had spread through the vessel about the unusual repair method being attempted. The observation deck above the repair bay was crowded with alien faces, all watching as the humans proved once again why their repair methods were becoming legendary. We'll need to run full diagnostics, Tom said, making notes on his tablet. But I think your quantum drive will be ready for testing in about 6 hours. And if I'm right, it'll be more stable than it was when it was new. Bright Star's scales had shifted to a color Tom hadn't seen before. Your methods are unorthodox, but I cannot argue with the results. The Stellar Confederation will be very interested in this repair technique. Feel free to share it, Tom replied. Though I should warn you, it's not just about the technique. It's about being willing to try something new, to think differently about the problem. The alien engineer nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why so many ships now come to human repair stations. You see possibilities where we see only procedures. As his team began cleanup procedures, Tom looked up at the quantum crystal, now pulsing with steady, strong light. Each repair like this added to humanity's growing reputation among the stars. Not as the most advanced species, but as the ones who could fix anything, who could see solutions where others saw only problems. "Just wait until they bring us something really challenging," he said quietly to himself, already looking forward to the next impossible repair. The news traveled faster than light through the galaxy's communication networks. Within days of the successful quantum drive repair, ships began appearing at the edge of Earth's solar system. Not broken ships seeking repairs, at least not yet, but vessels filled with curious observers from dozens of different species. Tom stood at his favorite viewing spot on Repair Station Alpha, watching as another observation ship took up position near the station. This one belonged to the Technical Assembly, a group that had previously dismissed human repair capabilities as crude and unreliable. "That's the 6th observation ship today," Mike said from his control station, "and we got 15 more requesting permission to enter the system." Jack walked up beside Tom, wiping his hands on a rag. "Remember when they used to avoid us like we were some kind of repair station plague? Now they're falling over themselves to watch us work." The successful repair of the Stellar Confederation's quantum drive had changed everything. The fact that humans had not only fixed the unfixable crystal, but actually improved it had sent shockwaves through the galactic repair community. "Incoming transmission from the Trade Coalition," Mike announced. "They're asking if we can share details about the quantum crystal repair method." Tom smiled. "Send them the basic report, but make sure to include our standard note about human innovation being key to the process." The station's communication system was overwhelmed with requests for information. Every major spacefaring species wanted to know how the primitive humans had accomplished what their advanced repair stations couldn't. "Got another broken ship incoming," Riley called out, entering the observation deck. "Some kind of advanced reactor core problem. They say 3 other stations already declared it unrepairable." "Just like that quantum drive last month," Marcus added. "And the dimensional stabilizer we fixed last year using modified Earth sonar equipment." Tom remembered that repair well. They had adapted old Earth deep-sea exploration technology to map quantum fluctuations in the stabilizer. The alien engineers had been horrified at first, then amazed when it worked perfectly. A small alert sounded from Mike's console. "The Stellar Confederation ship we repaired is sending data. Their quantum drive efficiency is holding steady at 15% above original specifications. They're calling it a breakthrough in crystal matrix technology. All because we treated it like a submarine hull." Jack chuckled. "Sometimes the simplest solutions are the best ones." Through the viewport, Tom could see more ships arriving. Some were observation vessels, their sensors focused on the repair station's activities. Others were ships in need of repair, drawn by the growing legend of human ingenuity. "Message from station control," Mike said. "They're expanding the repair base. Too many ships coming in now for our current capacity." Tom nodded. Human repair stations were being built throughout Earth's solar system now, each one bringing something unique to the field. Some specialized in energy systems, others in structural repairs, but all shared that distinctly human approach to problem solving. "Got an interesting request here," Riley said, checking her tablet. "The Technical Assembly wants to send some of their engineers to learn our repair methods." "The same Technical Assembly that called us dangerously unpredictable last year?" Jack asked with a grin. "The very same," Riley replied. "Funny how a few impossible repairs can change minds." Tom watched as another ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the station. This one was clearly damaged, its drive systems flickering erratically. Once, such a ship would have avoided a human repair station at all costs. Now they came to Earth first, knowing that human ingenuity might be their best hope. "Well," Tom said, turning toward the repair bay, "we should get ready for our next impossible repair." Those observation ships didn't come all this way to watch us stand around. As his team headed back to work, Tom took one last look at the growing fleet of alien vessels around the station. Each successful repair added to humanity's reputation, proving that sometimes the best solutions came from thinking differently, from being willing to try what others considered impossible. The humans were teaching the galaxy a valuable lesson. Advanced technology was impressive, but innovation and adaptability were priceless. The observation deck of Repair Station Alpha was packed with aliens from a dozen different species. They all watched intently as Tom and his team prepared to activate the repaired quantum drive. The Stellar Confederation ship hummed with power, its systems coming online one by one. "All monitoring systems are ready," Riley announced, her fingers hovering over the control panel. Around her, alien engineers held their own scanning devices, eager to record every detail of this moment. Tom stood next to Bright Star, both of them watching the main display. The quantum crystal's glow had changed from its previous unsteady flicker to a deep, steady blue that seemed to pulse with new strength. "Beginning power-up sequence," Marcus called out. "Crystal response is steady. No signs of stress in the reformed matrix." The alien observers murmured among themselves as the readings appeared on the main screen. The quantum crystal wasn't just functioning, it was performing better than its original specifications had ever allowed. "Power at 25%, Jack reported. "Crystal efficiency is, this can't be right." He double-checked his readings. "It's operating at 18% above manufacturer specifications." Bright Star's scales shifted rapidly through several colors. "Impossible. The crystal matrix was never designed to achieve such levels of efficiency." "That's because the designers never considered letting it adapt naturally," Tom explained, pointing to the new crystalline patterns that had formed during the repair. "Look at those formations. They're like the stress patterns you see in Earth's natural crystals after they've been subjected to pressure. The crystal hasn't just healed, it's evolved." The quantum drive's hum grew stronger as power continued to flow. The repaired crystal pulsed with energy, its new structure handling the power load more effectively than ever before. 50% power, Marcus announced. "All systems nominal. The new crystal structure is holding perfectly." Pat moved between monitoring stations, checking readings with their hybrid scanner. "The energy distribution is completely different from standard quantum matrices. It's more organic, like the crystal found a better way to channel the power." The alien engineers crowded around the monitoring stations, their previous skepticism forgotten in the face of undeniable results. Some were already making notes, trying to understand how this primitive human repair method had achieved what their advanced techniques couldn't. 75% power, Riley called out. "Crystal efficiency still holding at 18% above spec. No signs of instability." Tom watched as the quantum drive approached full power. This was more than just a successful repair. It was a breakthrough in understanding how quantum crystals could work. All because humans had approached the problem with fresh eyes, unburdened by proper repair procedures. "Full power achieved," Jack announced triumphantly. "All systems are green. The quantum drive is fully operational." The observation deck erupted in excited chatter. Representatives from various species were already transmitting the results to their homeworlds. The implications were enormous, not just for repairs, but for the future of quantum drive technology itself. Bright Star turned to Tom, their scales now a color that humans had learned to associate with deep respect. "We were wrong about human repair methods. Your understanding of basic principles, your willingness to try unconventional solutions, we have much to learn from this." "Sometimes the best way forward is to take a step back," Tom replied. "Look at the problem with fresh eyes. Remember the simple things that everyone else has forgotten." As the successful test concluded, Tom could see more ships arriving through the station's viewport. Word of their success was already spreading. Soon, repair stations across Earth's solar system would be busier than ever. "Think they'll finally stop calling us primitive?" Jack asked with a grin. Tom shook his head. smiling. I hope not. Being primitive is what makes us good at this. We're not bound by proper procedures or correct methods. We just solve problems, whatever way works. Around them, the quantum drive continued to hum with its new, more powerful rhythm. Another impossible repair completed, another step forward in humanity's growing reputation as the galaxy's best problem solvers. Not because they were the most advanced, but because they remembered something the advanced species had forgotten. Sometimes the simplest solutions were the best ones. 6 months after the quantum crystal repair, Repair Station Alpha had doubled in size. New repair bays stretched out like spokes from the central hub, each one busy with ships from across the galaxy. The observation deck, once a quiet spot, now hosted a constant stream of alien engineers eager to learn the human approach to repairs. Tom walked through the newly expanded main repair bay, watching his growing team at work. The station now employed engineers from 15 different species, all learning and contributing to the unique human repair methods. "We've got an interesting one coming in," Riley said, hurrying up to him with her tablet. "A Trade Coalition exploration ship. Their dimensional drive has completely failed. Something about crossing paths with an unknown anomaly." Failed dimensional drive. Jack whistled from nearby. "That's a new one, even for us." Tom checked the incoming ship's specifications on Riley's tablet. The damage was unlike anything they'd seen before. The dimensional drive hadn't just broken. It had somehow turned itself inside out. "They tried 4 advanced repair stations before coming here," Marcus added, joining them. "All of them said it was impossible to fix." Tom smiled. "Impossible just means no one's figured out how to do it yet. What do we have that might help?" "I've been thinking about that," Pat called from their workstation. "Remember those old Earth experiments with twisted light beams? The ones used in quantum computing. And I've got some ideas based on how we repair bent propeller shafts in submarines," Jack added. "If we combine those principles." The repair station's communication system crackled to life. "Incoming transmission from the Stellar Confederation," Mike announced. "They want to make Earth's repair stations the official maintenance facilities for their entire fleet. They're saying our repair methods have revolutionized their understanding of quantum technology." Tom watched as another alien ship carefully maneuvered into one of the new repair bays. Through the viewport, he could see dozens more waiting their turn, ranging from small trading vessels to massive military ships. "Did you ever think we'd see this?" Riley asked, gesturing at the busy repair bays. "Advanced species coming to us for help." "It makes sense when you think about it," Tom replied. "They advanced so quickly, they forgot the basics. Sometimes you need to understand how things break before you can really know how to fix them." The station shuddered slightly as the exploration ship with the twisted dimensional drive docked. Through the bay windows, Tom could see its distorted drive housing, warped in ways that seemed to defy normal space. "Team meeting in Bay 14," Tom announced over the station's comm system. "We've got an impossible repair to figure out." As his team gathered, humans and aliens working together, Tom felt a sense of pride. Earth's repair stations had become more than just fixing places. They were centers of innovation, where the practical wisdom of humanity's primitive past combined with the advanced technology of the present. "All right," he said, looking at his team. "Let's think about this from the beginning. What are the basic principles we're dealing with?" The discussion that followed was pure human problem-solving at its finest. Advanced alien engineers suggested complex solutions involving quantum fields and dimensional mathematics, while human engineers countered with simple, practical approaches based on centuries of fixing broken machinery. "You know what this reminds me of," Jack said, studying the twisted drive. "Those old wind turbines that used to get bent in storms. We had a way of straightening them using basic physics and a lot of patience." Tom nodded. "And maybe that's exactly what we need here. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways." As the team began setting up their equipment, a strange mix of advanced alien technology and modified Earth tools, Tom caught sight of his reflection in the bay window. Behind him, the repair station stretched out into space, a testament to humanity's unique contribution to the galaxy. They weren't the most advanced species. They didn't have the most sophisticated technology. But they had something just as valuable: the ability to look at old problems in new ways, to remember the simple solutions that others had forgotten. "Well," Tom said, turning back to his team, "let's show them why they call us the best repair station in the galaxy. This impossible repair isn't going to fix itself." And as they got to work, Tom knew that this was just the beginning. There would always be more impossible repairs, more challenges to overcome, and humanity would face them all the same way they always had, with creativity, determination, and the simple wisdom of knowing that nothing was truly unfixable. The end.